at that, I turned 70 that year, and I said, I've had enough. I'm tired of being the boss. And I owned the building that the business was in, and I was tired of being a landlord. So I closed up shop, sold the building, and brought everything home. And since then, I've been working from home, doing the same thing I did for 49 years in my office.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's great. We're glad you're still at it now. You're still working as a travel agent?
I am, yeah.
Good.
Next year I'm going to be 80. I think I may write another book and give up the travel business.
Okay.
I want to travel more.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman, Logan Crawford.
They now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now we're going on a globe-trotting adventure with an amazing author. His name is Gary Loupassakis, and he has penned a book you're just going to love. It's called Go That Way and Go Dare, Around the World in 50 Years. With wit, wisdom, and breathtaking photographs, Gary recounts a lifetime of travel through 65 countries, exploring cultures, histories, and unforgettable moments. From the Great Pyramids to the Swiss Alps, this memoir is a passport to inspiration, storytelling, and global discovery. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his beautiful book. The links are below this interview. Gary, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
When I looked at your title, Jamaica is what came to mind, but I guess it could be a number of countries. Go that way and go dare. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the title.
Well, Jamaica is correct. My wife and I and my wife's sister and her boyfriend at the time were in Jamaica, and we decided one day to rent a car and drive from Montego Bay, where we were staying, to Negril. And as we drove through the town of Montego Bay, we got lost. So we stopped a young man on the street. We asked him for directions, and he kind of pointed off in like no particular direction and said, "Go that way and go there." And we found what we were looking for. So his directions were very good. But when I decided to write the book, I said to myself, that's going to be a good title, because all my life as a travel agent, I've been doing that. I've been telling people to go this way and that. And so I felt the title was apropos.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a great title. And a lot of people like me will pick up on it right away when they see the title. And you're a brave man. Driving from Montego Bay to Negril ain't easy, because you got a lot of cars going like 100 miles an hour on these tiny mountainous roadways, right?
And it's the left side of the road you're driving on too.
Yes. Yeah, I'm afraid. I'm sitting in the little shuttle buses drinking my rum punch, going to my resort, and I see these cars flying, and I'm like, not for me. I'm not a brave driver in foreign countries. I rarely drive. I'll take the train, I'll take a shuttle bus or something, but I don't drive. Do you feel the same way, that driving can be tough in some of these countries?
Well, only in the countries where I'll use Greece as an example, where you can't read the road map, the street signs. You could have a map and the map's in English, but the signs aren't. So that presents a problem. And driving on the left-hand side of the road takes a little bit getting used to, but I've done enough of it over the years that it's not so bad anymore. But if somebody wants to drive, I'm more than welcome to let them drive.
Exactly. Also, you're driving on the opposite side of the automobile. You're sitting on the right-hand side. And now if you're using a manual, you're shifting with your left hand.
Correct. And
that
I'm
takes a lot.
Right. And that presents a problem.
And also clutching with your left leg. I mean, forget about it. I know my limitations in this world, Gary. Driving in foreign countries is a limitation for me. Talk to us a little bit about your career as a travel agent. Did you go on that one great trip that sparked your interest and said, hey, I want to be a travel agent? Or was it something that ran in the family? Tell us a little bit about how you got into it.
Well, it actually, as I wrote about it in the first chapter. My father's the one who got us involved in the travel. Believe it or not, he was stationed overseas during World War II. He was in North Africa, Egypt, and India, and then into China. And he developed a liking for travel from being in a war zone. He enjoyed it because he was a New Jersey boy. He had never been out of the tri-state area. And he saw parts of the world that he thought he was never going to see. And when he came back, we started taking small trips. Every summer, we'd go to New England, or we'd go down to Florida, or we go to Washington, D.C., or Niagara Falls, something like that. And I got used to it. And then when I was a senior in high school, my brother graduated from college that year. And my father bought a travel agency that was on, they were having some financial problems. And he bought the agency, gave the former owner a job, and put my brother to work in the agency. And then when I got out of high school that year, I tried college for a while. And I said, college wasn't so hot. I'm not really that interested. I'm going to take some time off. And then all of a sudden, Uncle Sam said, you're going to be out of college? We might have something for you. And so quick, like money, I joined the New Jersey National Guard. Consequently, I got the hat on now. Yeah. But when I got out of the Army in 1967, when I got off active duty, when I was put into work in the family business. And that's how I got into it.
Amazing. Well, it's a great career because you get to be around happy people who are planning trips. And you get to go and travel a lot to find out what different places are like, so you can tell them firsthand. You mentioned that you used to take local trips within the United States up to New England and Florida. Let me ask you, what's your favorite destination up in New England?
In New England?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Vermont.
Vermont.
Vermont. Yeah, I love Vermont. It's so pretty up there. My nephew has a house up there. He's big into skiing and whatnot, but I just love the fall foliage is so beautiful. Yeah. What is there not to like about New England? I mean, whether it be Vermont or New Hampshire or Maine or Connecticut, it's one of my favorite spots. But there's so many in this country, I can't really tell you, this is my absolute favorite spot in the country. I can't say that.
Yeah, because there's a lot to love.
Right. I've been to 46 states.
Wow.
And I'll get to the other 4 eventually.
Absolutely.
The book talks about 6 continents and 65 countries. But since I wrote the book 4 years ago, I've been to the 7th continent. I went to Antarctica a year and a half ago. And a couple more countries involved. Anyway, I thought about writing this book for years, and one of my clients told me once that I should write a book, and then my wife encouraged me to write the book. It was during the pandemic. We had nothing else to do. Nobody was traveling anywhere. So, and at that point I had semi-retired. I closed my office up in December of 2016 after 49 years in the business. Wow. And at that, I turned 70 that year, and I said, I've had enough. I'm tired of being the boss. And I owned the building that the business was in, and I was tired of being a landlord. So I closed up shop, sold the building, and brought everything home. And since then, I've been working from home, doing the same thing I did for 49 years in my office.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's great. We're glad you're still at it now. You're still working as a travel agent?
I am. Yeah. Good. Next year I'm going to be 80. I think I may write another book and give up the travel business.
Okay.
I want to travel more.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for my wife still works. I want her to retire, which she's promised she's going to do this year. And I've got a lot of places I haven't been to and a lot of places I'd like to go back to.
Sure. What's your number one favorite spot? Again, it's hard to pick your favorite spot. For me, the United States is the most beautiful country I've ever laid eyes on. I mean, from, the beautiful beaches of Hawaii, Florida, Wyoming and Montana to New England, to the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. I mean, it's just spectacular. I don't think there's another land as diverse as this one. Do you kind of feel that way?
I do. I do. But there's two countries that I really love um, outside of this country is Switzerland, and the other one is New Zealand. New Zealand is so diverse. The North Island is like Ireland with green rolling hills and has vineyards and whatnot. But the South Island is like Scandinavia. You've got fjords and you've got ski resorts and mountains like Switzerland, that kind of thing. And it's that's a country I'd like to get back to. I've only been to it once. I've been to Switzerland several times. I even wrote in the book. I wrote a chapter about a golf tournament that I won there, and
Wow.
how distracting the mountains were with the snow on the top. You're standing on the tee and you look down the fairway and your eye picks up the mountain with the snow on the top. And I talk about that. That's one of the reasons I love that country. It's and the people are friendly. It's a little pricey, but the
Hmm.
people like it, and they do in New Zealand too. They love Americans. At least they did when I was there. It's
Yeah.
been a while.
Yeah.
But and that was inexpensive. New Zealand was
Right.
very inexpensive for Americans.
The only problem with New Zealand is it's far away.
Yeah,
You're going to spend a
yeah,
lot of time
yeah. You
flying.
can get to Switzerland in about 7 or 8 hours. New Zealand's going to take you 24,
Uh,
and
these
and
long
probably
legs can't take it, Gary. I can't sit on a plane for 24 hours, you
I
know?
know I don't like it either. I mean, the longest I've ever been on a plane ride was 14 hours. I flew nonstop to Johannesburg, South Africa.
Okay.
Um, and but it's worth it when you get there.
Sure.
That's the trouble. That's the problem. And then I mean, maybe if they could do something like they used to do in Star Trek, where they used to say, "Beam me up, Scotty,"
Exactly.
that would be the perfect way to go. But
Exactly.
unfortunately, they haven't figured that one out yet.
Yeah, we need to be able to teleport wherever we want to go in this
Right.
world. Well, the self-driving cars are coming. I
Yeah,
mean, they have a Tesla now that basically drives itself. So
I know.
we'll
My
be
nephew has one.
He has one. Yeah, they're great. I mean, I can't wait to get one so I don't have to deal with traffic. Turn it on, let it go, and I'll go
Take a
from
nap.
New York City up to Bar Harbor, Maine, in 8 or 9 or 10 hours, and I'll be fine. So I think that's coming in our future. It
It
obviously is. It's
probably
all,
is either a car or maybe airplanes too.
yeah, yeah,
That anybody can
exactly,
fly. Yeah, like
exactly.
the Jetsons.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. So New Zealand is one of your favorite spots. Switzerland is one of your favorite spots. No country I really fell in love with and I thought it was beautiful, and I'm sure you've been there, was Portugal. I thought
Yes.
Lisbon was amazing. Porto was a little too crowded with tourists for me, but Lisbon, Portugal, I thought was just a
I
real, organic, beautiful city with lovely people, great food, and a beautiful coast.
and the Algarve is beautiful. They got a lot of nice golf courses there. I mean, yes, you're right. I like Portugal. It's a lovely, lovely country. And again, the people are friendly and it's relatively inexpensive
Yeah, yeah, it's a
for
real bargain compared to a lot of countries, for sure. How has travel changed since 1959, would you say, to now, 2025?
well, the advent of the internet, has really changed the industry a lot. I mean, it's the mom and pop travel agent like I was. Although at one time I did have as many as 20 employees, but they're kind of like falling by the wayside. People in my age bracket are retiring or unfortunately dying off, and young people like my children or my grandchildren's age are not going into the business because it doesn't pay. There isn't enough money to be made in it. You have to be a mega agency, sort of like an American Express or somebody like that, with offices all over the world to be able to make any money out of it. You can't, just run a business with 4 or 5 employees anymore.
Yeah.
And with everybody being so computer savvy today, especially, my grandchildren's generation, every time I need something done on a computer, it's a phone call to one of my grandkids, to walk me through how to do it. Or my phone. I mean, you've got more data in this little phone here
Yep.
than the astronauts did when they landed on the moon in 1969.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so people do it, but they don't realize that the people they're dealing with on the computer, people like Priceline and Expedia, and they are travel agents.
Mm-hmm.
And I use them too. I mean, they pay me a commission, so I use them, and I have found that their websites are very easy to navigate. So a lot of people are doing the business themselves, they're booking it themselves, but there's no turning back from local knowledge. I mean, the 7 continents that I've been to, I could tell you about, good hotels to stay at. I can tell you about restaurants to go to, and off the beaten path things that you should never miss.
Sure.
That kind
And
which
it's the human touch. I mean, to have a conversation with you, to tell you about your experience there. I mean, that's completely lost in this age. The human touch. People are afraid to call each other. They all
no,
text.
they
People,
don't.
yeah. It's like a
I can't get
phobia.
a hold, I
I'll
can't
tell
get a
my
hold of
kids, give them a call. And they're like, maybe I'll text them. I don't know. Like, why are
my,
you so afraid of people?
I don't
Right?
know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, all my years, I always felt that I made dreams come true. People would come in to see me and they'd want to go on a trip that they've been planning or thinking about for years. And now they're retired and it's time to go. And, whether it be a cruise or a package tour to Europe or something like that, I would put that together for them. And that's how I made my living. People would come back time and time again. I'd have customers that maybe took 2 or 3 trips a year. I have one customer who's been a client of mine since the early 70s, and she still travels with me.
That's
So,
great.
must say something about, I must be doing something right.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you're doing a lot of
At
things
least
right.
most of the time, anyway.
Without a doubt, Gary. Now, you've got beautiful photographs in this book. Is there 1 or 2 that really have a special meaning for you that you really love that you took?
Well, the pictures of the Berlin Wall and the story behind that is something that I've always felt really good about it. I was in Berlin in September of 1989, the year the wall came down. And the wall was up, and I had my little trusty Swiss Army knife that I took out, and I dug a little chunk of the wall out, about the size of a quarter. And I have it here at home with my collection of sand. I'll tell you about that later. And there were 2 guards. There were 3 or 4 guards on the top of the Brandenburg Gate looking at me. I was standing on a platform on the western side, looking over the wall. And the wall was there were actually 2 walls with a no man's land in the middle. And there were guards with guns and dogs walking around. And I get home, and a couple of weeks later, it was the 9th of November, happened to be the day after my birthday. And my wife and I are making dinner, and my sister-in-law calls, the one that was in Jamaica with us. And she says, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're making dinner." She says, "Turn on the TV." And I said, "What channel?" And she said, "Any channel, the Berlin Wall's coming down." And I like to think that it was because of taking a little chunk of that wall out with my little Swiss Army knife that I started it coming down.
Exactly. You made it tumble. You took it was a risky move. I mean, with those
Well, no,
guards
I
with
was on the
dogs and
western
guns.
side.
Oh, okay.
I was on the western side. I could do
Okay.
anything I want. Like I gave him the Jersey salute. the guards that were looking at me in the binoculars.
That's
So
so funny. That's
uh,
so funny. Well, I'm glad you gave him that jersey salute. Tell me about your collection of sand.
um, I have. Hold on one second. Let me see
Sure.
if I can show it to you. Can you see that?
Yes, a lot of jars, like jelly jars, baby food
Yeah,
jars of
right.
sand, right?
Exactly. Exactly. That's part of my collection.
Okay.
Um, I've got sand, obviously the piece of the Berlin Wall,
Mhm.
and I've got other pieces of things that I have found from all over the world. I mean, I've got Easter Island. I've got sand from the beach on Easter Island. I've got Hawaii, obviously, and some Florida stuff. But I've got sand from let's see, places like Galveston, Texas, and I've got the Amalfi Coast, and any place where there's a beach,
You
I
got the
pick up.
sand?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know it's against the law to bring back dirt from foreign countries, but if they want to arrest me, I'm ready to go.
Exactly, exactly. And you've got
But
some sand from Asbury Park, New Jersey with a hypodermic needle buried inside, right? No, I don't think so.
I have sand from the Jersey Shore, but there's no hypodermic needles
Okay,
in it.
good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad they're not washing up as much as they used to. That's good. Jersey Shore is gorgeous to the folks at home who are watching. I love it. I
A
go there every
collection,
summer.
My wife collects Christmas tree ornaments from all around the world, and we must have 300 or 400 of those. And I've got the sands, and every place I go that I feel I'm going to be near beach, I bring a jar. I don't use the baby food jars anymore. I actually buy jars now.
Sounds good. Sounds good. When it comes to travel, one of the things that's a true pleasure is dining, having some great food, local cuisine. What's your favorite cuisine? What's your favorite country to have food in? I have a guess, but I won't guess. But tell us about your food cravings from your travels.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a meat and potatoes man. I'm not a big
You.
gourmet eater. Give me a bowl of spaghetti and I'm a happy camper.
That's why I was
Um,
going to guess Italy would be your
yeah,
favorite, right?
I can tell you, Italy. The only thing in Italy that I'm not crazy about is their pizza. Believe it or not,
Right.
better pizza over here.
Yeah.
Uh, but their pasta, they don't make it any better than that.
Yeah.
Uh, they even though the Italians take credit for inventing it, but they didn't really. The Chinese actually invented it, but
Right.
they um, they sure know how to cook it and their sauces and whatnot. Um,
Exactly. Yeah. When I first got into Italy, first stop was Bari, and I had a delicious bowl of angel hair with pomodoro sauce, and it was just cooked to perfection. It was great. It was one of my best moments in Italy. Some of the world nowadays, Gary, is so crowded. I think people are traveling more than ever before. We were in Positano, and it was like a crowded mess because there were so many people there. Don't you see that? Like there are more and more people, like you said, a once in a lifetime getaway is
it
like a seasonal trip now for people starting in their 20s.
well, it is for very popular, like Positano. I mean, that's a very popular
Yeah.
destination. I mean, it's right in the heart of the Amalfi Drive and the Amalfi Coast. I mean, I've been to a lot of coastlines. I've been the coast road from Cape Town to the Cape of Good Hope, the California Coast Road. I mean, they're breathtakingly beautiful. But the Amalfi rates up there in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's how beautiful it is, and Positano being right there in the smack in the middle of it. It's a very popular destination.
Is there another
Once you get,
destination on the Amalfi Coast you would recommend instead that would be a little less crowded?
yes, Sorrento.
Okay.
Sorrento's at the beginning of it. And it depends on whether you want to take a guided tour or you want to rent a car and drive the road. It's a kind of twisty, windy. So, some people might be a little afraid of it. Um, I put people in Sorrento and let them take a day trip all the way down to the town of Amalfi. They can
Hmm.
drive it down. They can stop. There's several places you can stop to oversee. You can see the Isle of Capri, and there's several places to see that. You can stop in either Positano or Amalfi for lunch, and then if you want to come back quicker, there's a highway that's a little further inland that'll bring you back to Sorrento. And from Sorrento, you can get a day trip to Capri. You can get a day trip to Pompeii. You can take a day trip to Naples if you're interested. So it's kind of a good centrally located spot. And it's not quite as expensive as Positano.
There you go. That's exactly why you talk to a travel agent before you go, because everything I saw online was Positano this, Positano that.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, but it
Oh,
was too crowded. Yeah.
it's a magnificent, it's a
Yeah.
breathtaking little town, little village. It's really
Right.
beautiful. And I mean, you can't drive a car in there. You have
No.
to park the car outside, or
Yeah.
if you're on a sightseeing bus, you have to park the car outside and walk into the town. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. In fact, it was interesting. There was no level land there really at all. The
No.
only level land was like the front of a church that was about 25 by 25. And that's where all the kids played, in front of the church, because it was the only flat land they had to play
Yeah.
ball.
Right.
So it was a
Right.
cool experience. Now, you talked about upcoming trips, places you haven't been. Where are you thinking about going, Gary? It seems like you covered it all, but you got more to go.
Well, I in 1980, I went to China and I spent one day at a hotel in the airport in Tokyo. And I want to go to Japan and see all of Japan,
Mhm.
not just the one day in a hotel.
Right.
My wife has a cousin who lives there.
Mhm.
When she got out of college, she and her girlfriend took a trip to Japan, and she met this man who helped her with figuring out how the subways work and the map on the subway, and they ended up marrying, and she's been living there ever since. And
Very cool.
Sissy's my age, so she's got grandchildren now and whatnot. And I'd like to go and see the country with somebody that's from the country.
Yeah.
That's one of the best way to see a country. I mean, if you take a bus tour to Europe, one of these, if it's Tuesday, must be Belgium kind of tours. Yeah, you're going to have guides that are from those countries, from some of those countries. But to travel just one-on-one with a citizen of a particular country, that's really a unique way of seeing the country. I talk in my book about traveling with some friends of ours who were born in Greece, and we went to Greece and we traveled around Greece with them. I don't speak the language. My mother wasn't Greek, so I never learned how to speak the language. My father always wanted to send my brother and my sister and I to Greek school, but that took place after we got out of regular school. And we said, what are you, crazy? We've already spent so many hours in school. Now you want
Exactly.
to another school? I
Yeah.
don't think so. We want to go out and play with our buddies.
Exactly. Especially Greek school. It's very strict. It's a very complicated language. And it's a lot. That would have been a lot. I think you were better off playing ball in the
Now
street
I
with
can
your
hate
buddies.
myself for it. Now I wish I had done it. And I wish I had learned other languages. But
Right.
when I was that age, I didn't know I was going to be traveling all around the world. So
Exactly. Well, there's an app for that. You can talk into your
yeah, I
phone.
know.
It'll
I can do.
instantly translate anything, right?
I had to use that. I had to use that recently in Chile. So
Yeah.
we had a situation with my wife that I needed to talk Spanish to somebody,
Right.
and the app worked perfectly. But
Awesome.
to answer your question, there are a lot of places that I would like to go. I have not spent any time in Southeast Asia. I would like to go to Thailand. Not crazy about going to Vietnam. I had my opportunity to have an all expense paid trip there back in the 60s when I was employed by Uncle Sam.
Food
Not
and
crazy,
clothes and meals included, right?
right? Maybe Laos. I'd like to maybe see Angkor Wat. But I definitely want to go to Thailand. I've seen a lot of shows, a lot of TV. They recently had a TV series called White Lotus that
Mhm.
was filmed in Thailand. And, I mean, it was filmed at a ultra deluxe, 4-star hotel. But I'll pay the money to stay at a hotel like that. My idea is, to spend the rest of my time on Earth and spend what money I have and enjoy myself. I mean, I don't like going cheap. My idea of roughing it is slow room service. So,
Well,
so
I think you got a lot of trips, a lot of miles, a lot of trails to blaze yet, and I think you're going to have a blast. You're a fun guy. This has been great talking to you, Gary.
thank you very
The
much.
name of, what's that?
I say thank you very much for having me on.
It's my pleasure. The name of the book we've been talking about today is Go That Way and Go Dare Around the World in 50 Years. It is an unforgettable journey told by a man who is living it fully. You will just love the book. It'll ignite a flame in you to start exploring the corners of this globe as well. You'll love Gary's stories. You will love his photographs, and you'll love his recommendations for travel as well. Gary, thank you so much for being my guest here today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time, your wit, your wisdom, and your insight. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time.